Now it's back to the Midwest and the Northshore Country Club, where Superintendent Dan Dinnelli, CGCS, shows us how he stays ahead of turf diseases and pests.
Superintendent Dan Dinnelli has a variety of unique systems to help him stay ahead of turf disease and pests. Probably the most unusual are his indicator gardens, areas purposely designed to attract disease and pests and give warning before problems attack the course.
Okay, what we have here is what we call one of our indicator gardens, where we have 7 different varieties of creeping bent growing. And we maintain this practice putting green, if you will, much the same way as we do a green out on the golf course, except we never apply any type of pesticides. So this is like our bare bones plot here, where if there's a disease that's going to appear, it's going to appear here first. We purposely have it here among all these shrubs, creating this dead air pocket to create a high disease pressure environment. Some of these different bent grasses are more susceptible to some diseases, more so than others. Some are more susceptible to dollar spot, some are more susceptible to brown patch, so we purposely planted the bent grass varieties that tend to be more disease prone according to some of the information from the NTEP studies. So what we try to do is create our own hot spot here. Every golf course, every piece of ground has its own set of environmental conditions where there's microclimates that tends to create hot spots, if you will, on its own. But here we try to make one, kind of man-made one here. We monitor the disease here as well as out there, and as the disease continues to expand and grow here, then chances are pretty good that it's going to end up out in the golf course. That doesn't necessarily mean that if we get flagged, whether it's from the weather station that we had disease pressure, that we had disease showing up here, that we may automatically go and get the sprayer and start spraying. That's not the case. All it does, it tunes us to the fact that disease pressure is here, and we better start taking a close look several times through the day out on the golf course.
The indicator areas simply sound the warning. The key, says Dan, is constant monitoring of conditions.
The most important thing in an integrated pest management program is scouting. It's probably the most labor-intensive, it's probably the most demanding part of IPM. So these kind of little tools, if you will, just helps assist us in monitoring.
Dan has assembled a special toolkit to help him monitor conditions on the course.
What we have here is a hand lens, soil probes, knives, rulers. This is a neat little device here, a pair of sunglasses. Surprisingly enough, these sunglasses were engineered by NASA, and what these do, they filter out green. And when wearing these types of glasses, you can see stress periods or disease symptoms sooner than you can with the naked eye, like sometimes days sooner. Here we have a little box of some stainless steel nails, so if we do see diseases growing in these turf plots, we can actually see by installing these at ground level if that disease symptom continues to grow. We have these little maps of the golf course also. Part of monitoring is mapping out these different hot spots, so we also make notes on these maps. And at the end of the season, then we compile these notes and put them on a master plan or a master map. And in time, hot spots definitely emerge, where disease tends to be more prevalent or more prone in certain areas. This prism, it was designed basically to evaluate your mowing height. There's a scale here that will tell you how long your grass is. But what we like about it is it gives you a different view of the plant. Typically when you see symptoms, they're on the leaves, and the leaves are hard to see from the top looking down since it's such an upright growth. This here gives you a side view. So without being too obstructive to the turf, this prism here gives you a side view of the plant. So you can see things like dull moor damage. You can see lesions on the leaf blades easy.
Another useful tool is this black light trap. Each trapped insect is collected, cataloged and the information summarized. Armed with this information, Dan and his crew know when to start looking for certain pests.
The importance of this, for example, with the cutworms, since they're migratory, as they migrate north each spring, when we start collecting many adult moths, then we know to start collecting clippings around the greens.
Dan also uses a computer program that takes data from his weather station, applies it to a model, then offers a warning that weather conditions are right for the development of diseases.
What this gives us is more of a scientific or data-oriented information towards our scouting needs. Say over and above maybe the field observations with the different hot spots and the man-made hot spots that are associated with the gardens.
Building on that, Dan planted an indicator garden of flowering shrubs close to the weather station to use as observation indicators of when to apply various pesticides.
And then what you do is you can make comparisons that, for example, when the lilac blooms, that might be the right time to go out and treat or look for the bronze birch borer. So again, what it is, it's another tool to help or assist in scouting.
By combining the raw weather data with observations of plants and insects, over a period of time, Dan is creating a specific calendar of events for the North Shore Country Club.
Often we get lake effect breezes that are cooler, say, than a neighbor 10, 15 miles down the road. So doing this kind of work in-house becomes very important, especially when you're working with microclimates like we have here next to the Great Lakes.